the girl that the night refused to ignore. The cold weather did not come quietly. The cold weather was really harsh. It was like the cold weather was scratching at us. The cold air slipped through the seams of Mara Ellison's coat. It crept
Please,
under her thin sweater and it wrapped its fingers around her ribs like it was supposed to be there. The alley behind the downtown soup kitchen smelled bad, like concrete and rust and old rain. It was midnight now and the city already knew who was important and who was not. The city had made its decision. Mara Ellison was not one of the important people. The cold air was still wrapped around Mara Ellison. It was still under her sweater. It was still touching her ribs. Mara had stopped being important a time ago. Mara was not special to anyone anymore. People had forgotten about Mara. She was sitting next to a trash can that was all dented and old. Her fingers were really cold as she looked through her pockets to see if she had missed anything. She was looking for a receipt or a coin or just something to make her feel better. She did not find any of those things. Her stomach was. It was not just because she was hungry. It was also because she was feeling bad about herself for going through the trash. People throw away things they do not want. It is embarrassing to look through it. She was feeling that shame because people were probably looking at her. Trash bins are for throwing things, not for people to find food or things they need. She was searching the trash. That made her feel bad about herself. Someone said, "Move," in a sharp voice. She jumped back when a boot kicked the trash can. There were two men standing there. They were wearing security jackets from the event hall across the street. The jackets made their shoulders look really big. One of the men from the event hall started laughing. It was a laugh. The men from the event hall were just standing there. The other person said, "We do not want trash over the place because it will mess up the view." The person also said, "There are still guests inside the place." Mara stood up fast and bowed her head. "I'm sorry. I will go." She always said that. "I'm sorry." It was like she felt bad that she was even alive. She needed to say sorry for it. She thought that being here was a bother to people and that is why she always said sorry. When she walked away, one of the guards said, "People like her should not be seen." Mara kept walking. She had to because being invisible was the way she could survive. Mara knew that invisibility was her key to survival. So she just kept on walking, trying to stay invisible. Across the street, light poured out of the Blackthorn Hall building. It was made of a kind of glass that looked like black stone. Tonight Blackthorn Hall was having a party. There were politicians and billionaires and people who gave a lot of money at the party. They were drinking wine and talking about things that they did not want other people to know. Mara used to work at parties like that. That was before her mother passed away and her stepfather got rid of everything that was important to her and her family. Blackthorn Hall was still having its party. Mara was not there. She was not a part of that world anymore. This was a time ago when she did not have a home to go to. Then she slept under bridges. She did not know that the moment she stepped into the glow of that building's shadow, the night noticed her. The night was really paying attention to her now. She was standing there in the glow of the building's shadow and the night had seen her. The building's shadow was pretty big. It covered a lot of ground, but the night had still noticed her. The person did the thing as him. High above the city, King Alaric Nocturne was in a room that had not changed for a long time. He stood in front of a big window that went from the floor to the ceiling. The city below was moving and changing like a living thing, but the city did not know that it was at the mercy of King Alaric Nocturne and the other old rulers, the ancient rulers. Alaric was in charge for a long time, more than 600 years. Alaric had a lot of power and he used it to rule for a long time. Alaric was a ruler for over 6 centuries. Fear, obeyed, avoided. People over the world whispered his name in complete silence. The people who hunted vampires made plans that lasted their lives just so they could stay away from the places he controlled. Normal people, the ones who actually knew about him, said that he was a made-up story to make themselves feel better. You felt nothing nights. It was like that a lot. The nights were empty. You felt nothing. Most nights were the same, for him nothing really. You felt nothing. Tonight something got through to him. It pierced the stone that had been around his heart for a long time, for centuries. A scent. Not blood. Not fear. Something pure. Alaric stiffened his body. He did not move all. The man's crimson eyes narrowed as he looked hard past all the buildings and cars, past all the noise of the city, and focused on one person who was walking alone across a street that was empty. This person had their shoulders all hunched up because it was cold outside. The human girl. The man said that she should not be alive. He said this quietly. The people who advised him stopped moving when they heard his voice. Just become the most protected person in the city. The weakest person in the city is now the one who has the protection. The Vampire King had just found something that his power could not control. This was a big deal for the Vampire King. The castle that became a cage was a place that the Vampire King knew well. The Vampire King had a lot of power. It seemed that the castle that became a cage was not afraid of the Vampire King. The Vampire King was surprised by this. The Vampire King did not know what to do. Mara figured out fast that being safe can feel like being locked up when you have a lot of nice things. The castle. That is what it was. Stood tall over the trees like it came from a fairy tale. The walls were made of stones and the halls had a lot of paintings on the walls. The people in these paintings seemed to watch her every move. The servants walked around quietly, they never looked at her. They bowed down like she was a big deal already. Mara saw the castle. It was a really big place. The castle had an impact on Mara. She got some warm clothes to wear. They gave her food to eat. She even had a room and it was bigger than any place she had ever lived in before. The private room was really something for her. The woman actually went to sleep with her shoes on her feet. She did not even bother to take off her shoes before she went to bed. Her shoes were still on when she fell asleep. Because kindness without explanation was terrifying. Days went by. Alaric never touched her. He never yelled at her. He never told her what to do. This actually made her feel more uneasy than if he had been mean to her. Alaric's behavior was really strange. Made her feel weird. Alaric just being quiet and calm was more frightening to her than if Alaric had been cruel. He said to her one evening, "You do not have to stay in your room." She was standing near the doorway of the hall and she looked really stiff. He wanted to make her feel better, so he said, "No one here will hurt the girl, I mean you." The woman asked this question in a soft voice. She said, "Is there really no one?" His eyes got really dark. "If anyone tries to do something, they will have to deal with me." The woman really trusted what the man was saying. She had faith in him. The man's words were true to her. That night she heard people whispering. The servants were talking about families that did not get along and hunters that were getting closer. They were also talking about rules that were broken just because Mara was there. Mara figured out then that this was not just someone being nice to her. The people who took her in, they did not do it out of kindness. Mara was a problem. For them, Mara was the reason why these old rules were broken. She was a spark. Sparks are really good at attracting fire. This is because sparks are like pieces of fire that can easily make bigger fires. When sparks fly through the air, they can land on things that burn easily. Then fire starts. Sparks and fire just seem to go. When a noble vampire said something really mean to her at a meeting, calling her trash from the street, Alaric got up from his chair very slowly. The whole room got quiet because of this. Alaric rose from his throne. It was so quiet you could hear nothing. This happened because a noble vampire insulted her, saying she was filth dragged in from the gutter, which was a mean thing to say to her. He told her that she is under his protection. The woman is safe with him, he said. He made it very clear that she is under his protection. The vampire laughed. He was a vampire. He found something funny. The vampire thought it was really funny. Alaric did not. The person who did something lost their special title before 60 minutes were over. The offender had to give up their rank before the hour ended. This happened to the offender quickly. Mara. She was really shaken. The Girl Who Spoke the Forgotten Words is an interesting title. The Girl Who Spoke the Forgotten Words sounds like a story about a girl. This girl is special because she knows the forgotten words. I wonder what the forgotten words are and why the girl who spoke the forgotten words is the one who can say them. Asterisk, the girl who spoke the forgotten words must have learned the forgotten words from somewhere. Asterisk, maybe the girl who spoke the forgotten words has a gift that lets her remember the forgotten words. The girl who spoke the forgotten words is a mystery that needs to be solved. What do the forgotten words mean? Why are they important to the girl who spoke the forgotten words? The truth came out. It was not because of violence or bloodshed, but because of the things that people said, the words they used, the language they spoke. One night Mara was walking around the wing and she found a room that was locked up. This room was a library. It had really old books all around the walls. There were symbols cut into the stone, and these symbols were even older than the castle. The West Wing had a lot of things, but this library was something special. Mara was looking at the texts and she was amazed by the symbols that were carved into the stone of the West Wing. The woman just started talking without thinking about why she was saying anything. She spoke. The words came out of her mouth like things she remembered, not things she was learning. The words just fell from her lips like memories from a time ago, not like new things she was trying to learn. The words were like memories. The runes suddenly caught fire. They were burning really brightly. The runes were giving off a lot of light now. Alaric showed up fast. His eyes were wide with surprise. Not because he was angry, but because he was really shocked. The man said that this language has been dead for 1,000 years. Mara trembled. She said, "I did not know what I was saying." The words just felt like the thing to say at that moment. It felt right. The room was completely quiet. Silence took over the room. It was so quiet that you could hear nothing all. The silence in the room was really something. The old man said this later. He was really scared. She is not a person, she is a bearer. A bearer is someone who is born with the ability to wake up magic without needing blood. Alaric finally got it. He really understood what was going on with Alaric. Now Alaric could see things clearly. She was not valuable because of what people could take from her. The thing that made her special was not something that someone could just come and take away from her. Her value was not in the things that people could get from her. The woman had a lot of power because of what the woman could give. She was special. The woman had something that other people wanted. The woman could give people things that they needed. That is why the woman was powerful. The things that the woman could give made her very important to a lot of people. From that night on, his protection became something different. Respect. Nobody ever interrupted the king when he started talking in that tone. The vampire king was a person you did not want to mess with, so his advisors just stood there quietly. The vampire king was not someone to be taken lightly. One of them said slowly, "She is starving." Then they added, "Sire, humans often get very hungry and they need to eat food to have energy. Humans often do that. This is different." The smell of the food was not making him feel hungry. The scent of the food just was not doing it for the food and his hunger. This thing was calling to his memory. The memory was something that the thing was bringing back to him. It was like the thing was reminding him of something. The thing was calling to his memory. It would not go away. Mara did not really see the car until it pulled up right next to her. The windows of the car were really dark, even darker than the night. Mara turned her head away from the car automatically and her heart started beating very fast. When people have a lot of money, the money usually brings trouble with it. That is what Mara thought about the black car. The door opened. It was the door of my house and it just opened by itself. I was standing there and I saw the door open. The door that I am talking about is the door. A calm voice said, "Miss." It was a man's voice. It was deep. He sounded like he was in control. She shook her head. "I do not want trouble with this situation." The voice said, "You already have it," and it did not sound mean. Before the woman could run away, dizziness came over the woman. The world around the woman started to spin and tilt. Someone's arms caught the woman gently before the woman hit the ground. The last thing she saw was a pair of eyes that were glowing. It was not because the eyes were hungry. Because of something that was really bad. The red eyes were glowing with something worse than hunger. Recognition. She woke up on soft silk sheets. The silk sheets felt nice against her skin. She liked the silk sheets because they were so comfortable. The softness of the silk sheets was really great. That was the first strange thing. The second was the warmth. Mara sat up fast and let out a big breath. Her heart was beating quickly. The room was really big. It had stone walls with carvings of symbols on them. There was a fire burning in a fireplace. The light from the chandeliers was a yellow color, not a bright white light like you usually see. She was not tied down. The woman was not hurt. This really scared her more than being locked up with chains. Chains are very frightening. This was even worse for her. The thought of it was very scary. Chains did not scare her as much as this did. "You are awake." The woman spun around. She spun quickly. The woman spun. A man was standing near the fire. He was a man and he had broad shoulders. The man was wearing clothes which made him look like the night. The man's hair was very dark. The man's face showed that he was a person and he had a lot of power that he kept under control. The fire was near the man. His eyes were red. Not glowing now, just unmistakably inhuman. Mara scrambled back until her spine hit the headboard. She said please. She did not have anything. She would not scream. Mara was really scared. She did not know what to do. Mara just wanted to be left alone, so she said it again. She did not have anything that Mara thought the person might want. Mara hoped that the person would just go away and leave Mara in peace. The man said, "I know." His voice was really quiet. It was not soft and gentle or anything like that. His voice was controlled. "My name is Alaric Nocturne," he said to me. "I'm going to tell you something. You are safe with Alaric Nocturne." She laughed in a weak way. "People who say that usually lie," she said with a smile. "People who say that are usually not telling the truth." The woman thought about people who say that. Pause. He said that was fair. She looked at him with a lot of fear. She could not believe what was happening. "Why am I here?" Alaric's gaze got a little softer for a moment. "He told me that the world has not been very good to me. That I should not even be alive. The world has failed me," he said. "My existence should be impossible." That is what he said about my existence. He walked up to me, then stopped a steps away. He was being respectful and doing it on purpose, being very intentional about it. The man told me that I have been living without any protection. I have been living without dignity too. He said that this is all going to end tonight. The man said that I will have protection and dignity from on starting tonight. Mara swallowed. She said, I did not ask to be saved by anyone. Mara meant that she did not want to be rescued, not by the people who were trying to save her. Mara just wanted to be left alone. Mara felt like she could take care of herself. She did not need anyone to save her. No, Alaric said. You really deserve it, the thing is you deserve it. She shook her head. People do not help people for free. His jaw tightened. That is the lie that people like you have been told. The silence really stretched out. It was a long silence. The silence stretched. She said quietly, What do you want from the woman? What do you want from the woman? Alaric looked at her. She could see the sadness of being alone for a very long time in his eyes. The feeling of loneliness had been building up inside him for centuries. It was all there burning behind his eyes when he met her gaze. Alaric's eyes showed how much the loneliness had affected him. The man said that there was nothing. Then after a beat. Yet. Outside the chamber old powers started to move around. Other groups of families who did not get along felt that something was different. The people who hunted for food sensed that something was waking up. The city down below just kept going on, not knowing that a girl with no home had just walked into a future that was already decided and would be marked by blood and the things that were meant to be. The city kept breathing. The girl was now a part of something big. The forces and the clans and the hunters, they were all connected to the homeless girl and her fate. Mara does not know this now, but the person who is weakest in the city has. He listened to her opinions. This was important to her. He allowed her into the councils where big decisions were made. He taught her about history. He did not treat her like a servant. He treated her like an equal, just like the history book said people should be treated. He taught her history as an equal. Mara stopped flinching when he stood near her. This happened slowly and quietly. When the king chose to bleed. The attack came when the sun was rising. It was early in the morning, the time of day when it's usually quiet. The attack came at this time at dawn. The hunters broke through the walls. Then the rival vampires came. They really wanted to get the girl because she changed everything. The girl was the reason for all this trouble. The rival vampires were eager to get their hands on her. They wanted to claim the girl who had shifted the balance of power. Things got really crazy. Chaos erupted. It was like everything just fell apart and chaos erupted around us. Mara was trapped in the chamber. That is when something bad happened. Steel mit Fleisch. Alaric showed up. He was hurt. There was blood over his armor. The blood looked really dark against the armor that Alaric was wearing. Mara saw that Alaric was wounded. The woman said you should have run away. She was really upset. He shook his head. I do not want to be in charge of a world that wants me to give up the people I care about like you, and that includes you, because I will not rule a world that demands your sacrifice. The hunter was getting ready to shoot a weapon right at her heart. At that moment Alaric jumped in front of the woman to save her. He put himself in the way of the weapon. Alaric was trying to protect her from the hunter and the hunter's blessed weapon. The blade went into the man. The blade cut him badly. The man was hurt by the blade. Mara screamed, and it was not because she was scared, it was because she was really angry. Mara was furious. The old words just burst out of her chest. It was so strong that it shook the whole castle. Then a lot of light filled the room. The bad spell that had been cast on Alaric's family for long started to break. Then it completely fell apart. The enemies fell. They were not dead. They were completely powerless. The vampire king did something he had not done in a long time. He got down on his knees. This was a deal because the vampire king never kneels. It was the first time in centuries that he had done this. The vampire king kneeling was a thing to see. Not from weakness. This is a story about a crown. The crown she never asked for was something that changed her life. It was not something she wanted. It was given to her anyway. The crown she never asked for brought her a lot of trouble. She did not want the crown she never asked for. She had to deal with it. Peace followed. The elders all got together. They were thinking that Mara would go away now because the danger was over. The elders thought that Mara would leave now that everything was okay again. She did not. She said that she will not be hidden. The woman made it clear that she will not rule the people through fear. She wants to be in the open. She wants the people to love her for who she is, not because they are scared of her. The woman said that she will not use fear to get what she wants from the people. She wants them to follow her because they want to, not because they have to. Alaric stood beside her. He did not stand above her. He was next to her at the same level as her, which is what Alaric did. Alaric was standing beside her. He said that she will be his equal. She is his equal because she worked hard for it. It is not just because things are supposed to be that way. She really earned the right to be his equal. She will stand as my equal, he said. Not because destiny demands it, but because she earned it, is what he really meant, that the woman will be his equal, the man's, because the woman earned it. The world changed. This is a thing. The world is not the same anymore. We have to think about what the world was like and what the world is like now. The world. It is very different. Vampires learned to control themselves. Humans got the protection they needed. The people who used to hurt the weak were finally held accountable. Mara was a girl who had to sleep in alleys. Now Mara stood out, not because of her family or anything like that, because Mara showed a lot of kindness to other people. When they asked her what made her so powerful, she gave a simple answer. I was a person when I did not have anything. The other person was strong enough to respect my kindness. No one had ever defended her like that.